Tempest wins game number 2, and we're going into a third game where they are on match point. Crazy game on Towers of Doom. You and I were talking in the break about how, you know, if you play correctly on Towers of Doom in the late game, if you do everything right, anyone can come back, anything can happen. And that's basically what we saw.
Yeah, anything can happen, like a throw, right?
Throws do happen.
Yes, and Ace, they were way too excited that they were going up against Tempest. Their team comp actually worked. I think having a Medivh right now in this meta where Malfurion excels so much as a support and he's weak against the burst, and just having a Medivh as a damaging source slash support is actually the best thing, because that protection will just go through that burst to actually heal your ally.
Yeah.
This
So you
is
have
one
some
of the
extra
best.
sustain.
This is one of the best team comp that we're going to see out from every single drafting from now on. I think we're going to see very similar style of drafting coming out from many teams now.
Yeah, I mean, the Circle of Protection gives you so much extra power as well, and these locked up team fights, so that was a huge factor. Sky Temple's new map, so all 3 map picks, Tempests, and they're all maps that macro control is of the utmost importance. Tempest lost control of Towers of Doom when they tried to take bad team fights, tried to do bait moves in the top lane. But when they grabbed a bell tower and grabbed the mercenary camps afterwards, they had control for the rest of the game. Game number 1, start to finish domination, almost a perfect game. This map is supposed to be one of the well, not supposed to be. It's definitely not the designer's intent, but has turned out to be one of the most snowballing maps in the HGC hero pool. And it's also a macro map where if you control the macro early, you win the game. Tyrael has been the go-to, has been the boss control map, hero pick for Tempest. I like Ace highlighting it now as first ban.
We're banning Uther, game 1, game 2. But they're changing that a little bit more, as you're kind of forced to fight a lot more next to the circle, even on for the boss control. I think they are also thinking ahead of the boss control. Medivh is still out there.
Yeah.
I think first pick Medivh is actually not too bad, but still going to keep up with that Malfurion for now.
I think first
Let's
pick
see
is
if Tempest wants to take that pick away.
that.
Ace will definitely pick. Okay, they're willing to let that through.
Yeah, I think trying to grab Medivh here is like a little bit crazy for Tempest because they've never really been a Medivh team. It would be an interesting tactic, and we'd learn a lot about their Medivh prowess if they did. But they just haven't shown any evidence to us as of yet that they've been practicing the hero. I think it's even strong, realistically. We know KSV, who wasn't running it, thinks it's strong because we had that interview with Sake just a few days ago. But is this map going to work as well for Medivh? You don't have as much of a structured format to try to get stacks for Master's Touch, although after watching the early game with Witcher last game, I'm not sure if he's ever really interested in queuing enemy heroes, but
It's also a thing.
if you want it, you got to get it now.
Hanzo will be poking mostly, and it's a lot harder to block all the damage source.
Absolutely. And
Of course, Sonya does provide that burst, but that's basically something else that you have to think about as a Medivh if you play Medivh.
they also took the Sonya pick away from Ace. They're going to grab Tracer instead. They're going to go down the opposite route, knowing that Tempest is less likely to pick Medivh. Remember, Tempest picked the Tracer into the Medivh, and Force of Will blocked almost every single pulse bomb we saw, minus the early game ones where we saw Gamey get blown up. But you don't ban the Medivh here as Tempest. If you do, then you don't understand what Ace is trying to do. They're changing up the draft. They're trying to take the opposite approach. They don't have the Sonya, and Medivh, sure, you can make Tracer, you can also make a Nubrak, so he can help control boss zones, but it's just not worth the ban here, I don't think. They're going to do it anyways, while laughing.
They're
But
just being safe. It's still possible that, judging from the tier reopen, I think they're thinking about the boss so much. I think it was not... I don't think it was a bad ban to say against Ace. They were having some troubles in game 2, of course. And if they want to have all the CC connect with the later picks, I believe they're just going to do with the Sonya, maybe an ETC or Garrosh in this game.
love the Uther ban. Would have liked to see, to be honest, instead of the Medivh ban, think about this for a second. What about a ban on a soul laner like banning Tahaka or banning the Malthael that would dominate the soul lane? That's probably going to be the go-to now for Ace. If they want to control the macro, that's something that they can do. So they get both Shamato brothers, and this draft looks very similar to game 1, with, of course, switching Sonya and Tyrael. Blaze, also a possibility here for Ace, which is one of the reasons why banning a soul laner might have been less effective than the Medivh potentially. Do they want to go down Tassadar path like we saw in game 1? That was how they empowered the Sonya, how they empowered the Tracer in that first map, the late Tracer pick. I just don't feel like Tassadar is effective on this map. They have no wave control, nothing on the map if they do that.
Even the Cocoon is Cocoon lost a lot of its power already, since there are 3 assassins now, basically.
Yeah.
A lot more basic attack coming in. Tempest was having a big trouble trying to break the Cocoon through the basic attack of Marthale, which takes a long time.
They're going to take the Greymane Malthael. This solves 2 problems. It solves the camp control problem, and it solves the soul lane problem, and then wave
and
clear.
Also wave clear.
Yeah.
So they do have a lot of sustain and also burst damage. And they love running Greymane. They used to play it all the time.
This kind of feels like an Arthas pick to me, to be honest, for the final pick. It doesn't do well against Tracer's mobility, but it's very good against Greymane. Also Johanna.
Yes.
Johanna shuts down both Greymane and Tracer.
Also putting some blinds against Tracer, against Marthale.
Yeah.
Seems like a pretty good idea.
I like Arthas, I like Johanna. I think Johanna's safer on second thought because Arthas is really going to struggle to get Howling Blast off on a good Tracer. So if you can hit those, it's obviously better against Greymane. Wow. Main tank Blaze.
Okay, against the
Tracer
bombs.
But I think there's definitely some weaknesses to this as well, though.
And they're also against the Mafirian root. Right after the bunker destroyed, the root will basically just have everyone entangled right there.
And Nubarak also can just burrow charge right in. There's a lot of potential stack ups for CC onto the Blaze. So and
less of a chance for everyone to get in because they have Hanzo and Genji, so they're not going to be around Blaze all the time. Interesting draft from Tempest, actually putting Blaze and Sonya together. Let's see how important they think solo laning will be.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Tempest draft with the Blaze finisher.
They're breaking lots of rules today. Well, there are no rules to drafting, but traditional Korean style drafting.
Yeah, and Sign is playing the Blaze, so we know they're thinking of it as a main tank here in terms of positions. A lot of dancing going on.
Maybe this could be a start of Blaze as a tank hero now, instead of solo lane. Let's see if that works as well.
The disparity in map win rate is not a shocker for anyone, but it's his Tempest playstyle. Obviously, it's a very reasonable pick for them. Now, Sonya stays in the top lane. Blaze is going to be roaming more. Can help a lot with invades of the Siege Giant camps. That's one reason I like him. He's very similar to ETC in that regard, but obviously ETC would have been stronger at that. But Blaze's bunker is the utility they're looking for against the Tracer pick. Remember, too, that the bunker can be burst down really easily by Greymane. But this is not a solo Tracer DPS like what Tempest was running last game. Even going for the lane swap here, having Genji up there to win the matchup against the Malthael that I argue they should have banned, but they're taking a different approach to dealing with it. The lane swap. And with the extra auto attack range that Hanzo has in the bot lane, is kind of poking at Greymane, still doing well there.
Any hero from Ace will be having a difficult time, other than the Tracer Mafurian pair. Against the Hanzo, it's going to be a tough matchup anyhow. So all you can do is really go late and just soak the EXP and hurt your structure in your own way.
Malfurion pings this on the way and goes over there and heads over because we saw Sonya was missing because she's camping. Rhaegar was missing and Genji was showing top aggressively in the lane. So it's actually cool mind games by Tempest. They're going to time this camp out better, you could argue, as long as they clear this quickly. But Ace is committing heavily to this, so You know, I think they might actually win out in the end.
You can do a lot more damage for that level 4 from Hanzo.
And look at Sign, you know, getting totally zoned out by KCB here. They've got the extra pushing power from the Beetles as well. And this is actually ending up working fantastically for Ace. Look at this. They might even get a kill. They do. Dami goes down. Sign is getting very low. And the doubts I had about this draft from Tempest were big, they were glaring. They had a few good moments with the lane swaps, for example, the winning matchup with the Hanzo, but their late camp timing, their really reluctance to pressure KCB so he couldn't flank like that, make me doubt this more. Ace is looking fantastic tonight, and Tempest, I feel like, is drafting a little bit, I almost want to say silly. Like, they could have drafted safer, they could have drafted better, they could have drafted standard, and yet they're running this.
Of course, the only pick that looks weird is the Blade. We can't really pick and criticize on Hanzo, Genji, and Sonya Redgar.
Sure, I mean, the Medivh ban was the other one that I thought was weird, but other than that. But, like, let's see what Blaze accomplishes post-10, because the pulse bombs get scarier, he gets the bunker. That's when his main value is going to come through, his control of the boss as well. These are things that Tempest needs in order to win. Do you think we're going to see Tranquility or Twilight Dream? Because it's a really, I think there's really good arguments for both. For boss control, Twilight Dream, fantastic for longer fights versus Hanzo, and with Greymane on your side, I think Tranquility is really good. It's a tough question. What are your thoughts?
You don't have that much protection with the Medivh anymore. And you do need that healing, but is everyone going to be around you? Tracer will be off to somewhere else. Maybe Greymane will be like the only one. So why not just Twilight Dream to threaten Genji from coming in? And also Sonya could be a big tool. They actually lack CC now, and it's very slow because Tempest only has Blaze. So Twilight Dream, I think, can be a big tool, winning the team fight.
Let's see. Especially this boss fight is going to be another reason why they might lock in the Twilight Dream, but I after your reasoning and thinking about it a little bit further, I do kind of like the Twilight Dream. Rush is crushing this bottom push, by the way. Actually doing a lot of damage, and the rest of the team is rotating down in better position, especially with the Anubrok. Tempest has to take the long way around, so they're going to finish this cannon tower. And this forced a big rotation from Tempest, because had they not, they would have lost the healing fountain. However, we do have to keep in mind that Sonya was pushing top the entire time, and we'll rotate down mid now to get some more experience, so they have an experienced lead. If they had lost this healing fountain, I would have said advantage Ace, but because they do not, Tempest, I think, is a slight backer lead for the time being. This level 10 is so important for both teams with these comps, and with the eminent boss take, so you know, Tempest grabbing that experienced lead is very, very important right now.
They will continue to do that macro game. Right now, Ace actually controlling the top. They lost the fort, but right before the bottom temple, it is very important to push the top lane as much as possible.
Siege Giants here turning the tide into favor of Tempest in the mid lane, at least, as we are seeing Rush just dash between top and mid as Malthael to keep up with the experience. Opportunity here for a pick. KCB is here. Deflection has been used. Nice bait here by Tempest, making sure Good continue to show himself aggressively, and then revealed himself at the last, or they revealed the rotation at the last second.
Possibly,
Tempest gets 10.
Not the worst timing, but still not a good time to lose yourself right there. They were losing the macro one. Right now, missing a lot of the top wave will be insanely big, and we will be losing all that EXP because you'll be forced down all the way here for this temple phase.
Interesting to note, Dami is on the Sonya, by the way. So some flexing here by Tempest. Who would have thought it would be lockdown, given his history on the hero. Dami also an ex-solo laner, but not when they were on the same team. So bring back that 2016 history to you guys. KCB, easy escape available here with the Anubrok. They grab half the shots, but then Tempest is going to take control. Rush has to deal with that top push, so we'll be stuck up there, and Tempest is going to take a pretty massive lead in this game now. This is done regardless of the Blaze pick in terms of bunker, but it was Blaze pick in terms of potential kill picks. Like the one that we saw in the mid lane just moments ago, the bait there, that has really been working well for Tempest. And Good gets to show his prowess on the Genji that we haven't seen since pre-BlizzCon. It's fun to see this come out again for this guy who probably doesn't have as much practice on the hero, but gets to play it in weird setups like this.
Not just because of the death of Rush in the mid lane, but because of the camp timing that Sonya was doing to make sure they have the lead on the macro. Has been pushing top this entire time. Of course, it's onto the other side, but meantime, Tempest got all the shots. Hold on, let's go. Okay, go into the camp. The bunker will be dropping very soon. There goes.
Yep, there's the bunker. They're out sustaining here. The Tranquility is locked in. It's used to live through a lot of this damage, but will it be enough to live through the Dragon Blade's burst? That's the question. KCB lives for a long time in this zone, doing a lot of CC as well, but so much sustainability on the side of Tempest, plus burst. And the big stun coming through from Sign there, but the burst damage from that Dragon Blade is what turns the fight, despite the Tranquility ending up being the correct pick in this particular case. Now Tempest, because they have Hanzo, clear this boss in like less than 10 seconds, grab it. There's Good to check the rest of the lane, comes over here, they secure it. They're gonna look for a siege giant push, they can threaten keep wall. Top push over here. Significant, but not as significant as a boss take and the level 13 advantage. And it looks like Tempest has, with this fight on this one zone, kind of, I guess, allayed my fears about their composition. Would never recommend this against a big 3 team, but up here in, or down here I should say, against Ace, in terms of ranking and execution and macro play and map win rate, they're still controlling this map as well as they could have with another hero in the solo lane.
Talking about hero.
Or sorry, in the main tank.
Talking about hero, his job was certainly there to harass Rehgar. And Rehgar was away for a long time. Couldn't really heal much of his teammates because of that. But if he joined the team fight actually, if he were to focus down on a Genji, on a Hanzo, who was basically on very low by the end, I think Tracer could have got multiple kills, even better of a trade for Ace. I think they really need to start choosing the target better when they go into a team fight.
A target focus, target priority, whatever you want to call it, is something that, you know, is always going to be important in team fights. Sometimes against a team like Ace, the target priority is going to be the Anubarak when he's being aggressive. Sometimes it's going to be the Tracer that got stunned because she overextended when there's execution there. Sometimes it's Malfurion free 13. See what it's going to be this time. KCB has been poked. Dami goes on to Hero here. Hero has been the target priority this time. Trying to get in there. KCB blocking a lot. Here comes a Tranquility. Greymane's already dead though. He got burned down. Agami is going to be the next target. He has Ice Block available, I believe, so that's not going to go down. But KCB doing the peel he needed to save this from being a wipe. He dies, but he did the correct thing to make sure this wasn't a team fight. He makes a potential team wipe into a 2-kill. But this is still going to be, with the composition that Tempest has, all this damage from Sonya, a keep. Do not think they will be able to turn this into a core, even though they have a great comp for rushing down the core. It's just 2 quick death timers on the side of Ace.
Even Tranquility is not enough when the damage is focused so well from Tempest. And I think against a very divey comp, Twilight Dream is oftentimes a better one to choose to actually turn the teamfight around. When it seems like you are running away, but you can turn that around with a big silence. And Ace is missing that as a big tool. And also having Nature's Cure instead. Some weird picks coming out from Malfurion tonight, I think. It's not the worst, I would say. But against basically no CC team comp from Tempest.
I mean, there's the Blaze stun, which has been a big problem in the Spear, but I guess, like, if those are the things you're worried about, then you should probably just position against them. Because Sonya's Spear is not something you ever want to cleanse unless it's an emergency. You're not, like, thinking, wow, Sonya's stun is, like, the most OP. It's not really the case. So, yeah, I kind of agree with your line of thinking on this. Hanzo's Arrow, as well, is another of those things that, you know, you don't cleanse unless it's an emergency. It's not like you're dealing with an ETC comp or massive stuns or the most obvious stuns that parry into things like parlay into things like Howling Blast or something like that you have on such a low cooldown. But level 16 around the corner here for Ace. They are dealing with the mid pressure pretty well. It's actually the easiest keep pressure to deal with on any 3-lane map because it's the middle of the map, so you can rotate to either side. They're headed up to try to collapse onto this temple now. 16 going to be up in just a second, taking down that experience now. But KCB gets caught. He's already used his burrow charge, so not going to be able to use that for an engage. And by the time they get there, this temple might be all but finished.
Already half more gone by just having Sonya up there. And Hanzo can delay so well, unmount all of them with the scatter arrow. Has been doing that. Sai missed that big time, but not the end of the world.
I kind of see where he was going with it, thinking that Ace was going to retreat downwards, but KCB trying to peel here, eating a lot of damage.
Poison Sphere still very strong. There's a healing coming out, but the burst damage is connecting.
Tranquility though, and the big cocoon. Unfortunately, Dami though could heal through most of this. Pulse Bomb comes on the lockdown, but it's just too little too late. Greymane does grab a pick here, but Ace is so low, and Tempest has so much sustainability. Gamey's still alive. Look at the stun coming down here. That means Tracer is dead. Lockdown, trying to get healed up here by the Rhaegar. Sign helping to peel. And Rush looks to get the kill.
Oh, he misses that W big time.
Yeah, that was
at the end.
That was an oopsie daisy, but they still win the fight. Pretty impressed with what Ace was able to do despite actually doing so much damage at the beginning and actually sustaining super well. I think it was the death of Greymane that really turned things for Tempest. And even after Greymane was dead, they still traded well. Partially due to that one oops by Lockdown, but Tempest now just going to push these waves. Can't actually look for top keep. Even that is too risky. Good posture for a boss play, though. Looks like that's their next plan of action. Take maybe some bot waves to try to get 20.
But it's super hard. They have Genji. Sonya just came back up. The 2 heroes that they need for the boss are Sonya and Hanzo. And they're coming up at the latest time, so it's really hard to even set it up.
KCB is going to show himself here. Okay, he doesn't actually show himself. I was going to say that's...
So best chance you just soak up for 20 and look for everything at that moment. I think that's your best option as Tempest. Ace should be the one rushing through. So they're going to start the boss, actually.
Okay, they just need to make sure they dodge Sign's big charge stun here. That's going to be the big impact. Dami, very overextended, goes ahead and pops his heroic early. The boss Whirlwind here actually very annoying. The boss Circle though works in favor of Ace. They still control this zone. Big stuns coming through. Good diving in. Dami's got the Whirlwind heals here, and he is just going to heal through all the damage. This is a disaster. Good doing so much damage, ripping apart the Tracer and the Malfurion. That's game. That's a boss that could push towards core. Grab the Siege Giants casually on the way over. God, Hanzo is so busted. That he was nerfed also, by the way. This is not even his original form. He was nerfed. This is nerfed Hanzo. Look at him. Ye all and despair as he will just crush this core with the help of Sonya with her Fury active. Wrath of the Berserker, I should say. And that is going to be the 3-0 win here for Tempest.
Oh, 10 out of 10 style points on that bunker at the end, too.
Once just getting the Siege Giant camp on the way out, though.
Pretty strong.
It's like the most casual ever. Just like throw these arrows in the
He doesn't even go. He doesn't even look. He just throws and casually just walks towards the core.
Well, for Ace tonight, I think that there were definitely some moments of brilliance. Their drafting, I think, was very intelligent. Their drafting was night and day, what we've seen from them this week compared to what we saw in Part 1. And for Tempest, again, I feel like even though they walk away with a 3-0 score, if you're a Tempest fan, you're probably feeling a little bit sour about this one, probably feeling a little bit nervous about the future. And whoever we end up getting as the MVP will probably echo that sentiment, saying, well, you know, this series was a lot harder than we expected. Medivh will probably come up in the conversation as well.
Hey, stop spoiling the interview.
Sorry, you know. It's not Honkono doing an interview today.
So there's no Honkono, so it'll either O-Prime or King.
It'll have a lot of substance, not a lot of jokes, probably like a lot of really serious talks. I kind of hope it's King because it's been a while. And I think this interview might be more interesting than the last one because this series actually ended up being somewhat close. Somewhat close. Let me put the like little air quotes there.
Game 2.
But yeah, That was
A big X on the game 4, possibly.
yeah. I had game 4 written down after that draft. I was like, we might be going to game 4. Early game went pretty decent for Ace, but the late game not so much.
And that's not the last team fight. That's not the one you want to take fight. Of course, Ace, basically, if Tempest hit 20, they were very likely going to lose regardless. All the camps were coming back. Boss was available. So opening up the boss and looking for a lucky team fight win. I don't know what exactly you had to do. Possibly even try to have like a Sonya off because she was off lane alone. And Cocoon was always broken from all the basic attacks of Genji and Hanzo. Really tough to win in that situation. It really started happening when they started to lose that macro from the beginning of the Sky Temple game.
Dami playing the Sonya, flexing back to an older hero he played on Miracle for the most part, and sometimes on Tempest 2016, but he's usually Lockdown who flexed to it when he was playing Greymane. That was cool to see for old Dami fans, no doubt. He always flanked, which almost got him killed in that last boss fight. He always tried to go around on the blue side of the map to swing back in with Whirlwind to get the heals.
It seemed like he was playing Genji.
Yeah.
Looking at his position.
He was always kind of flanking, looking for the Whirlwind for the heals. When they had the Rhaegar for the support, so he knew that Ancestral was going to be a possibility to save him when he was coming through with the shields there as well. But I think that was the big problem. The Sonya Whirlwinds always kept him alive. And every time these locations, whether it was the boss pit or the night camps, all these positions that we were seeing Ace try to fight in, Sonya shows herself. They try to focus her. Sonya's even KCB commits his CC. Then they lose control of the zone. Sonya gets enough heals to the Whirlwind, the Ancestral, and then the fight's over in a lot of cases.
Yeah, fight's over. It's possibly the best place for Hanzo to just hit that W, make sure it bounces off the wall so it hits maximum value. And also Genji can just go over the wall all the time. They will be safe. They're not even focused at all from Ace's side. They were trying to focus what they see. Sonya, of course, survived oftentimes. Has that Ancestral available when Tracer came from the side, tried to snipe on that Hanzo. Ancestral, when it was available, went to Hanzo exactly high, did his job. So this game seemed like they were playing the Tempest game. Of course, we were kind of worried with that Blaze pick, but still able to pull that out with the bunker. Pretty nicely done by Sign.
So there's the 3-0, Cursed Hollow, Towers of Doom, Sky Temple, 3 bigger maps, 3 macro maps. And, you know, we are going to take a look at some highlights in a minute. I'm not entirely sure who's doing the interview. Doesn't look like it's set up just yet. As maybe they're trying to decide who the MVP is for Tempest. Tough call. Like, really tough call.
That is a really tough
Maybe
call.
Dami.
Maybe Sign.
I mean, Sign did play the Blaze pretty well there at the end. So we're going to watch some of these clips here. This game was the most one-sided of the 3. Just a lot of control here with Blaze. Better draft from Tempest. Straight up standard play. Controlling the macro. Oh, this is when Rush gets stunned by the boss. Oh. Good there to capitalize with his stun as well. Towers of Doom. Well, there might be a few clips from this one.
And Hanzo is now 8-3 in Korea. Super dominant. Of course, that trend does follow overall in all regions. When Hanzo just goes through the draft like that against a comp that Hanzo can just excel.
I think it's not fair that this was like the team fight that we watched. That didn't tell the story of that game at all. That was actually one of the worst team fights in general. I mean, it was one-sided and uninteresting and didn't show Ace's lead throughout the entire game, but hey, I don't choose these highlights.
I think this is the one.
So this is where you can see Tranquility heals up a lot.
Yeah, look at the Ancestral onto Lockdown.
Dami is just doing so much. Lockdown gets the Ancestral so he survives. Look at what
pressed
Dami's
that
done.
Ancestral before that pulse bomb landed.
Yeah. But like, look at Dami, man. He's still not dead. He's just constantly healing, constantly doing damage this entire time on the Sonya. It's incredible. Like, he went down to 5% health or less and still survived. Lockdown lives this fight as well. Well, for a while, until he misses the W, as you can see there. Oops. But, yeah. That's the end of that game. We're going to go to the interview with Dami, man. They've been agreeing with our MVPs recently. It's going to be O Prime interviewing and G Club translating. So go ahead.
Hello, I'm Dami from Tempest.
일단은 오늘 3대 0으로 승리를 거두셨는데
Your
먼저
3-0 victory.
생일 축하드립니다.
And,
네.
감사합니다.
and first of
생일을
all,
기념해서
happy
3대
birthday,
0으로
Dami.
또 승리하기도 했는데 승리 소감 한마디
And of course,
부탁드릴게요.
let's hear how you feel after tonight's win.
그 그저께 발리전 때
Against Ballistics 2 days ago.
생각하기
지고
싫어.
We
발리전 때 져가지고
lost.
기분이
Ouch.
굉장히 안 좋았는데 오늘
And
제가
It
생일이라고
was a bad feeling after. And
저희 팀원들이 저한테 딜러 말고 막 다른 것도 많이
it's my
시켜줘가지고
birthday,
기분이
so
좋아졌어요.
and that's also a reason why they let me play other heroes, not just DPS that I used to
네.
play.
다미 선수가 막 한조도 하고 소냐도 하고 여러 가지 하고 그리고 뭐 사인 선수도 트레이서 하고
And Dami, you
이런
play
식으로 포지션 바꿔는 그게
Sonya and many different
생일이어서
ones.
하고 싶은 거 시켜준 거예요?
Did they actually let you play what you want?
한데 원래 제가 저번에도 그렇고 제가 하고 싶은 거 계속 하고 싶다 했었거든요. 그런데
Also, last
오늘
time I've been
마침 또
expressing my
생일이라
opinion
바로
to the
들어준
team
것
that I want to play
알겠습니다. 근데 두 번째
a few other
세트에서는
heroes, and they've been
메디브
listening very
때문에
well.
조금 곤란한 그런 장면들이 좀 많았어요.
네.
개인적으로 두 번째 세트는 뱀픽에서 좀 밀렸다라고
There were lots of
생각하시나요?
tough
아니면
moments,
초반에 그냥
especially
실수를 좀
Game 2
했다?
ban picks.
두 번째
What exactly happened?
실수가 그렇게 큰 실수는 없었는데 약간 움직임 부분은 조금 실수가 있었는데
I don't think we had a
뱀픽이
big
더 큰 것
miscall,
같아요. 뱀픽
but our
친 게.
positioning
뱀픽에서 어떤
was
부분에서
a
좀
little bit
미스가
problem. And
있다고
of course, the
생각하시죠?
drafting was a big
Oh.
mess for us.
사실 오늘 뱀픽을 제가 안 했거든요.
And honestly, I
모르겠어요.
누군지는 말씀 안 하실 거고요.
did not.
뱀픽을 제가
Do
원래
the
그냥
drafting today?
생일이라고 제가
I'm not gonna
뱀픽
reveal
그냥
who did it,
보고 형 뱀픽 할래 해가지고
but he's an
뱀픽
older
해줄게
one,
하고 해서 저는 부담 없이 게임했어요.
그럼 내가 더
so I wasn't really in charge of the drafting. I could actually relieve that, and I had a fun time playing the game.
받아들여도 될까요? 네. 사실 사인 선수라도 좀 조심스럽거든요.
제가 뱀픽 했으면은
If I were to call out the
좀
ban
쉽게 이길 수
picks,
있지 않았을까
I
하고.
think we could have won a lot easier.
자 그러면은 오늘 경기도 승리했고 그리고 개인적으로 이거는 궁금해서 여쭤보고 싶었던 건데 메디브가 조금씩 뜨고 있잖아요.
Another question,
네.
of course, this is
템페스트
coming up.
하면은
Medivh is
메디브
slowly
쓰는
rising up.
좀 다른 팀에 비해서 부족하지
And
않을까라는
Tempest,
얘기도
and
있었는데
we
네.
were saying that
Tempest의
Tempest
메디브도
is not the
기대해볼
team that
만합니까?
plays Medivh all the time.
저희가 이제
Are we going to
많은
see that
변화가
Medivh pick
있을
at all
예정이라
later season?
저희가 더 저희 약점을 더 잘 알아가지고
I
그걸
think-
보완해서 앞으로 더
I think
좋은
we
경기를
know
보여드릴 수
what
있을 것 같아요.
we are bad at, our
변화가
weakness
있을
points,
예정이다.
네.
and I think that could be
정말
fixed
다양한
later on
큰
against
변화를 저희가
Medivh.
기대해봐도 되는 건가요?
Can we actually expect for you guys to pick Medivh
좋을 것
though?
같아요.
알겠습니다.
I think if we
자,
can
그러면은 현장에
practice
오신
until
분들
that
그리고
point,
온라인으로
it'll be a
시청하시는
good
분들에게
one
한
for
말씀
us,
부탁드릴게요.
but it's not certain that we're going to
네,
play.
항상 직관 와서 응원해주시고
Of course, to our fans,
이제
thanks
방송에서도
for all the fans coming down to the
응원해주시는
VSL studio to
분들
root for
항상
us.
고맙다고 전해드리고 싶고요.
I want to say thank you to
이제는
everyone.
지는 모습을 안 보여드리고 싶어서 더 열심히 해서
I don't want to
좋은
show you
경기력으로
guys us
찾아뵙겠습니다.
losing anytime,
감사합니다.
so
네,
that's why
감사합니다.
we're going
다시
to
한번
practice
생일
harder
축하드리고
to play
저는
better all the
인터뷰를
time.
마치고 돌아가도록 하겠습니다.
Thank you all. Thank you, and that's humble words from Dami.
Yeah,
Good boy today, and happy birthday, of course.
very very humble today.
Mhm.
Minus when O'Prime kind of like poked him in the sand, he thought he would draft better.
Mhm.
There were definitely some issues in the draft. I'm glad that O'Prime agrees and that Dami was able to admit that as well.
Yes.
Some funky stuff that would definitely not get them wins against other top tier teams in Korea, but hey, you know, they won 3-0. They still get their 3 indicator points. Dami got to have a happy birthday, get to play as Sonya again, and I guess, you know, all is right in the world for Tempest today. But next week, might have to tighten it up a little bit.
Oh yes, they were up against Ace tonight, and we could also kind of tell O'Prime was trying to dig that Medivh pick out, saying, "Are you guys practicing?"
Yeah, he
at
basically said, like,
all,
you guys
or-
are not playing Medivh, everyone else is playing Medivh, that could be a problem, couldn't it? Like, that's
Mhm.
basically what he was saying.
And Dami was trying to be, "We're practicing, but I'm not telling you because everyone's watching this." I think it's gonna come soon, and Tempest has been a team that I don't think they ever played Medivh.
Yeah, like, never ever.
Never ever. Maybe once, like not in like a super like an HGC big tournament. Maybe like a community game a few times.
That doesn't
but
count.
yeah, which doesn't count. I don't think.
I'm looking at 2017
And if there's a player, it
2018
will
right
be
now.
lockdown. If it would be, but I don't think they have ever played. Maybe this will be the very first time Tempest will bring some Medivh comp.
No Medivh in 2017 or 2018, not even one
Mhm.
time. Well, that is going to do it for our first series of the night, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It was a little bit more exciting than we expected. Our second series of the night is coming up soon. We'll come back with it just after this.
In the Nexus.